Shalom. First and foremost, I want to say, Call Halal Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai. That's all praise, honor, and glory to the Most High God Yahweh in the name of His only begotten Son, who the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ. I want to give double honors to the elders and apostles that labored before me and did teach me this truth. Shalom to the hopeful elect. The true biblical Israelites are the so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians, and the Israelite strangers scattered across the four corners of the earth. Right, I want to start out here in the book of Acts, chapter 19, and I'm going to start at verse 13. Then certain of the vagabond Jews, exorcists, took upon them to call over them which had evil spirits the name of the Lord Yahweh Shai, saying, We adjure you by Yahweh Shai, whom Paul preacheth. And there were 7 sons of one Sceva, a Jew, and chief of the priests, which did so. And the evil spirit answered and said, Yahweh Shai I know, and Paul I know, but who are ye? Right? And this lesson is all about having a name, a good name, and works that are spoken of, right? Good works to follow that good name, right? Because these men were trying to command evil spirits, but even the evil spirits said, we know you not, right? Right? The evil spirits didn't even know these men. They didn't have power. And when they called on the name Yahweh Shai, right, the power wasn't felt because they weren't known, right? Let me get this. This is the book of Luke, St. Luke, chapter 13 and verse 27. It says, But he shall say, I tell you, I know you not whence ye are. Depart from me, all ye workers of iniquity, right? So, hey, in this truth, man, you got to have works to follow the name, right? When you start to believe on the name Yahweh Shai, right, in the name of Yahweh, the Heavenly Father, you got to have works to go along with your faith, right? Let me get this in the book of Proverbs. It's going to be Proverbs chapter 22 and verse 1. It says, A good name is rather to be chosen than great riches, and loving favor rather than silver and gold, right? So a good name, a good reputation is better than great riches, right? And that good name is going to be recorded in the heavens. That's what it talks about being written in the Lamb's book of life, right? Your reputation, right? Let me get this word for name in the blue letter. Let me see. The word is Sham, right? Sham. And when you look at the holy lineage, right? It says through Shem, the god of Shem, right? The reputation. That's where the name was preserved through Shem, right? That's where the name Yahweh was preserved through, right? And the word here says name, reputation, fame, glory, right? Memorial, monument, right? So, hey, your name should be a memorial, a monument of what you represented on this earth, right? You should be representing the Heavenly Father and his only begotten Son, right? That's what you should be. You should be an embodiment of the wisdom that you receive from the Heavenly Father, right? You should be operating in all aspects of life through these scriptures, through the wisdom that the scriptures give you, because the wisdom and knowledge and understanding of the scriptures are going to guide you into the right ways to live, right? It's going to lead you to success, right? Let me get this. This is the book of Proverbs, chapter 16 and verse 7. It says, When a man's ways please Yahweh, he maketh even his enemies to be at peace with him, right? And this goes in anything in life. You want to have a good name. You want to preserve that good name, even if you're on the job, right? If someone tries to slander your name, if you built up a good name, that's like gold. You could pay that. You give that to the judges, and they'll give you a favorable judgment, right? That could keep you out of trouble just having a good name, a good reputation around everywhere you go, right? You known in town for being a good person. How much more with the Heavenly Father when you're known for doing good works, right? You're praying, you're fasting, you're studying, right? You if you do lessons, you're doing lessons, right? You're going out to the highways and byways and you're bidding to the marriage, right? The Most High God is going to cause your enemies to be at peace with you, right? So it's important to be working on your name, right? Working on that monument, that memorial, because when you die, you want the Heavenly Father to look at you through Yahweh Shai, who the world calls Christ, who's our advocate. You want Yahweh Shai to bear testament of the works that you put in, of the good deeds that you did to honor his name, right? You multiplied that talent, right? Let me get this is the book of St. James, chapter 2, and start at verse 17. Even so, if it hath not works, is dead, being alone, right? Yea, a man may say, thou hast faith, and I have works. Show me thy faith without thy works, and I will show thee my faith by my works, right? You can't please the Heavenly Father without faith, and you can't please him without works. It has to be mixed together, right? That's how you create the perfect dish, right? You got to have the right ingredients. You got to have the faith and the works, right? If you cook something without salt, it's not going to taste right. That's the same thing as if you have faith without works. If you have works without faith, you got to have them both, man. Right? Verse 19, thou believest that there is one God, thou doest well. The devils also believe and tremble. Right? So it doesn't do you any good to believe, but not put the work in. You got to be putting the work in. Right? That goes into the evil spirits not knowing these other men. Right? They said, Paul I know and Yahweh Shai I know. Right? They had faith and they had works. Right? So you come in the name of Yahweh B'Hashem Yahweh Shai, you cause the devils to tremble because they know who's guiding you. Right? They know whose hand is over you. Right? Let me get it's the book of Job. This is book of Job, chapter 16 and verse 19. And it reads, also now, behold, my witness is in heaven and my record is on high. Right? I'm going to read this in the NLT. It says, in the NLT, it says, even now my witness is in heaven. My advocate is there on high. Right? So your works are being recorded in the heavens, man. So it don't matter if no one's looking. That's what integrity is, doing the right thing when no one's looking. Right? When no one's watching you, are you doing the works that the elect would do? That a judge of the world would do? Right? You got to continue in those works, man. You got to abide therein. Right? Say, Yahweh Shai is the branch, man. You got to abide in him to bear fruit. Right? If you decide to leave him, you want to do it your own way. You want to seek your own righteousness. Right? That's how you wither away and become fruitless. Become a curse. This is the book of Titus, chapter 2. And I'm going to start at verse 7, and I'm going to read this in NLT. It says, and you yourself must be an example to them by doing good works of every kind. Right? You got to do good works of every time. It tells you of every kind. It tells you your righteousness got to exceed that of the scribes and the Pharisees. Right? So you can't just hang your hat on keeping the law. You got to go above and beyond. That's where these spiritual sacrifices come in, right? You're praying, you're fasting, you're reading, you're doing lessons, you're watching lessons, right? You got to continue to add good works, right? And it says, let everything you do reflect the integrity and the seriousness of your teaching, right? Verse 8, teach the truth so that your teaching can't be criticized. Then those who oppose us will be ashamed and have nothing bad to say about us, right? In the KJV it says having no evil thing to say of you, right? You gotta make sure you're protecting the ministry and not doing things to get the ministry blamed, right? Conducting yourself in an upright manner in all things, right? This is Revelation chapter 20 and verse 12. And it reads, "And I saw the dead, small and great, stand before Yahweh, and the books were open. And another book was open, which is the book of life. And the dead were judged out of these things which were written in the books according to their works," right? So, hey, like you said, your name is going to be written in this book based off your works. So, hey, your reputation is going to lead you to rulership in the kingdom, right? You got to have the works, right? And you got to keep a good name, man, right? That good name, like I said, is choice silver, right? And we know in the kingdom is everlasting riches, right? So keeping your name unstained while on this earth, right? Not doing things you know are going to get you blamed, right? Not falling back into old ways, man. Hey, you just got to persevere and endure to the end, right? Don't go back into old things, man. If you used to gangbang, don't pick the flag back up, right? Don't go back into fornication, right? Don't be a drunkard, right? We gotta exercise discipline, man, because we're at the very end of this thing, man. Don't go all the way to the finish line, get right before the finish line and give up, right? We got to continue to add good works on top of good works, right? Like they say, iniquity is sin upon a sin, sin upon sin. We got to add good works upon good works, right? Let me get this is the book of St. Luke, chapter 10, verse 20, right? "Notwithstanding in this rejoice not that the spirits are subject unto you, but rather rejoice because your names are written in heaven," right? So, hey, it tells you right here that those that are written in heaven, right? The hopeful elect, they are the ones that command these evil spirits, right? So the spirits didn't know these other men, right? Because their name weren't written on high, or the Most High didn't give them the power to execute what they were trying to execute, right? That's why, like you said, the name, man, your reputation, who you are, right? Let me get this. This, right? Because this tell you the meek shall inherit the earth, right? This is the book of St. Matthew, chapter 5 and verse 5. "Blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit the earth," right? So you got to come in a spirit where you're giving all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bashem Yahweh Shai, right? And you're leaning on the sacrifice of Yahweh Shai, not your own righteousness, right? You got to lean on the Heavenly Father so that you can have power, right? Being meek, right? Let's get this word for meek, right? Meek, it says, meek, a mildness of disposition, gentleness of spirit, meekness, right? Basically, just giving everything over to the Most High and letting Him handle things, not trying to invoke your own program, but following the Most High's program, right? Let me get this. This is get the book of Revelation, chapter 14 and verse 12. It says, "Here is the patience of the saints," right? Hey, there's another thing. You got to be patient. Wait on the Lord, man. You get impatient, that's when people start to go off. That's when people start to fall out. You got to stay patient, man, right? Here are they that keep the commandments of the Most High and the faith of Yahweh Shai, right? Verse 13, "And I heard a voice from heaven saying unto me, Right, blessed are the dead which die in the Lord from henceforth. Yea, saith the Spirit, that they may rest from their labors, and their works do follow them," right? So, hey, if you die in the Lord, you know what I mean? You want to die having works that are going to follow you, right? And you want to have good works. You got to have good works, man, or hey, you screwed, man. So while you living, make sure you you're practicing good works. You can't wait till you in the grave, man, because the Most High is not honored in the grave. He's honored by the living, right? This is 1 Thessalonians chapter 5 and verse 21. "Prove all things, hold fast that which is good, abstain from all appearances of evil. Right, and that goes into having a good name, man. You only want to be caught in a situation where it looks like you doing some bullshit, man. You know, you got to abstain from all appearances of evil, right? You want to teach the right things. You want to do the right thing, right? You know, right. This is the book of Revelation, chapter 16 and verse 15. It says, "Behold, I come as a thief. Blessed is he that watcheth and keepeth his garments, lest he walk naked, and they see his shame." Right? You got to be watching. You got to, let's actually get this word for watcheth. Let's see what it says. Right? It says to watch, to give strict attention to, be cautious, active. Right? You got to be actively making sure your name is good. You got to be actively seeking to do good works, man. Diligently seeking, man. Give diligence to make your call and election sure. You got to be active, right? You can't be passive, right? You got to continue to work and continue to grind, man. That's what this truth is about. The Most High is a God of production, you know? Let me get this real quick. This is the book of Revelation. I'm going to start at the book of Revelation, chapter 14. I'm going to start at verse 3. It says, "And they sung as it were a new song before the throne and before the four beasts and the elders, and no man could learn that song but the 144,000 which were redeemed from the earth." Right? That new song is this new is the doctrine that's being teach, right? You know what I mean? Following Yahweh by Shem Yahweh Shai and waking up the lost sheep, right? Coming back to the Heavenly Father, repenting and you know, doing good works, right? Verse 4, "These are they which were not defiled with women, for they are virgins. These are they that which follow the Lamb whithersoever he goeth. These were redeemed from among men, being the first fruits unto Yahweh and to the Lamb," right? So, hey, we're out here trying to present ourselves to living sacrifice so we can be that first fruits, those first fruit spirits, that 144,000, right? That will rule on the earth under Yahweh Shai, right? So this is the importance of having good works and having a good name that's not spotted or blemished, right? Because it tells you in the law, hey, when you present a sacrifice, it needs to be unspotted and without blemish, right? And that's why we have to make sure we're not defiled with women. And what is it, when it talks about women here in Revelation 14, it's talking about, right, different doctrines, right? It tells you that Babylon has made the whole world drunken with the wine of its fornication. Its wine is its doctrines, right? These different gods, you know what I mean? Christianity, Islam, right? Judaism, right? We supposed to be following as Israelites, so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians, is the word of the Most High, right? Keeping the commandments to the best of our ability and following the lead of Yahweh Shai, right? Yahweh Shai HaMashiach, right? That's what we should be doing, man. Especially in these last days, it's important that you're watching and keeping your garments, man. Praying without ceasing, right? Because the only way we're getting out of here is through, you know, the sacrifice of Yahweh Shai and the will of the Most High God, right? Let me actually get this in the curses, right? This is the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28 and verse 68. It says, "And Yahweh shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships, by the way whereof I spake unto thee, thou shalt see it no more again. And there ye shall be sold unto your enemies for bondmen and bondwomen, and no man shall buy you," right? That word buy goes into being redeemed. No man shall redeem you, right? No black power movement, no politician, no governor, right? None of that. No magnetic no charismatic speaker. None of that is going to save you. No money is going to save you, man. Hey, only Yahweh, by Hashem Yahweh Shai, is going to save you out of this hell, which is called Mystery Babylon, man. Yeah, and that's all I got to say. Hey, man, Shalom. On to the next. I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, by Hashem Yahweh Shai. Shalom.